Okay, I believe we have everyone present. Were we waiting for anyone else?
I believe Gretchen May, the inspector for this facility, was going to join. I haven't seen her.
I see
jump
APCD
on.
staff. Is that you, Gretchen?
Oh, okay.
No.
No.
No, that's Dawn.
We're waiting for Gretchen. Let me text her.
And then I see one person, Dave, and then it has guest. Is that a APCD or city staff representative?
If you're referring to me, I'm city staff.
Thank you. Dave, what's your last name?
My last name is Marlowe, M-A-R-L-O-W.
L-O-W?
That's correct.
Thank you. Brent Bowman, I'm going to ask one more time if you could do a audio check for us. I see.
Yeah, I'm having trouble. I'm joining
there you
Sal.
are.
I'm
We
in
can
the
hear you.
office today with him. We're obviously not doing our proper social distancing, but this is an emergency. So
As long we can hear you, that's
Okay.
what I want to make sure that is happening. So thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You know, I'm not getting a response, and I don't.
She just joined, William.
Oh, fantastic. Good. Okay.
Hi, Gretchen. Can you please unmute yourself? We just want to do a quick audio test for us.
Here I am. Hello.
Thank you. Chair Rodriguez, I believe everyone is present now.
Thank you. It's been a while now since we have had such a wonderful representation in this meeting. So, well, thank you, everybody. And today, it is May 25th. I was going to say April. I'm going back, and this is definitely the San Diego Air Pollution Control District, in which we're going to be hearing an emergency variance, which is petition number 4518. So, Marvis, could you please go through the motions, of swearing in the witnesses and I guess the roll call? Well, it's just me.
I will note for the record, thank you, Madam Chair. I will note for the record that Chair Rodriguez will be conducting this meeting. I would also like to go ahead and take time to have counsel, if they are present, to identify themselves for the record. Seeing none present, I'd ask at this time if the Air Pollution Control District would please identify themselves for the record.
Sure. I'm William Jacks, Acting Chief of Compliance for the district.
I'm Mary Mahoney, Civil Actions Investigator with the district.
Julie Byford, Civil Actions Investigator with the district.
And I am Gretchen May, Inspector, Compliance Division.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so very much. So how about, the members of the petitioners? Do we need to swear them in?
Yes, I'm going to ask at this time those that will be testifying during this hearing to please raise your right hand at this time. Give me just a minute to change my view. Thank you. If you have called into the meeting, please press *9 at this time so we can identify you to participate and also swear in. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give in the matter before this hearing board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yeah.
You'll tell the truth.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Marvis. So as indicated, this is an emergency variance, and we actually have, really very discrete conditions, that we're going to be taking a look at. Certainly, this is an ability, for us to have open communications and conversations about what is going to be transpired in the hearing today. And also, a way to bring, the City of San Diego Public Utilities Department, back to quick compliance. So, based on that, element, I would like them to hear, by the way, I'm sorry, I may actually go a little bit off course on this one because we conduct this a little bit differently. So I just, before we actually proceed, I would like to hear from petitioner and have petitioner explain to me why this is an emergency before we proceed.
Okay, on Thursday of last week, can you hear me? Am I coming?
Yeah, I can actually hear you. I would like, for you to provide your name and that you were sworn in.
Yes, my name is Brent Bowman. I'm the senior chemist in the Public Utilities Department, and I was sworn in.
Okay, go ahead.
Last Thursday, we called in a breakdown at about 12:40 p.m. At the Point Loma wastewater treatment plant due to a operator discovering that a valve on top of one of the digesters was malfunctioning. We subsequently had the district came out, the district inspector on that Friday, and determined that there were other leaks on other digesters with the Varic valve as well. And at that point, we determined that we were going to be unable to repair those within 24 hours.
Okay.
And so therefore we discussed it with the district, and we decided to pursue an emergency variance, feeling that we could probably get them, all of the issues resolved within 30 days.
Okay.
And so then on Monday, we put the emergency variance in to request and see what the variance board would feel about it.
Good, thank you. The very succinct summary, thank you. As a chemist, I appreciate it. So how about district? District, could you please, pretty much advise, whomever, whether or not, you agree that this is certainly an emergency variance according to the rules?
I believe we do not believe this is an emergency variance, as it is, we're basing this on basically negligence on the leak detection methods and the quantity that were identified.
Marvis, can you, this is the very first time, that Marvis and I get to do this, okay? So I was a little bit spoiled here, and I did not tell Marvis, what I would actually be asking for. But Marvis, do you actually happen to have a copy, of the emergency rule? I think it's 99, if I'm not mistaken.
Rule 97 or the emergency variance district rule?
Yeah, something like that.
Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
It's Rule 98.
98.
98, okay.
There you go. See, thank you. I know that maybe 99 is equipment.
I'll share my screen.
Perfect. Excellent. I just want to make sure, though, that we certainly take a look, at the breakdown condition on 98. And certainly I'm looking at the italicized letters here. Of course, you don't see the cursor because it's not my screen. But when the APCD representative actually indicated it's not the result of neglect or disregard of any air pollution control law or real regulation, or not intentional, or the result of negligence, definitely that raised a concern for me. So Ms. Byford, could you please, indicate succinctly, before we actually continue on this one, whether or that you definitely believe, that this was due to negligence, on the maintenance.
Yes, we believe that this is negligence. Based on the preventative maintenance they are doing, not being adequate to detect the leaks.
Okay. So thank you so very much. I am going to decide to hear this. Definitely, from feedback provided by the ARB. About 4 years ago, they wanted for us to make sure that the conditions, based on the definitions within the rule, could be met. It seems as though that it cannot be met. On the other hand, that we're also looking at what I consider, definitely in a section public service, from the Point Loma Wastewater District. So I am going to continue, with the hearing. Just, based on the latter portion of it. This is an essential function that Point Loma Wastewater District actually performs. And certainly, it could actually have indications of a major public health issue and certainly, more of the compliance issues, just on that element. So, however, the petitioner, sir, while I hear from the district first, I would like for you to definitely have a very strong argument on why you disagree, and you can prove to me, that the breakdown is not due to negligence. So based on that, let's continue. So I would like to hear from the district. The district, customarily provides, certainly a summary and a position statement on these elements. So I would like to hear from them first, where I'm going to be giving, again, the petitioner the time to build, their case. Focus on that negligence part, because, I may not be able to hear this completely or issue anything. And just based on what, Ms. Pfeiffer actually indicates, you need to answer that as well. So are we clear on what the next step is? My friend, the chemist,
Yes.
knows what I'm actually asking for. So, Ms. Pfeiffer, please go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon, Chairwoman Rodriguez and representatives from the Point Loma Wastewater Treatment Plant. As mentioned, my name is Julie Byford, Civil Actions Investigator, and I will be speaking on behalf of the district to provide our current position and response to the petitioner's request for an emergency variance based on the information currently available. I would also like to mention the other staff here, William Jacks, Mary Mahoney, and Gretchen May, who is the air quality inspector assigned to the wastewater treatment plant and conducted the breakdown inspection on May 21st, 2021, which found significant digester gas leaks. I've prepared an image of the digester tank layout. Vilmarie, are you okay with us sharing this image of the tank layout?
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. Marvis, can you share this? You can probably keep it up for the remainder of the presentation, just for, we mentioned several of the tanks.
We'll refer to it as Exhibit A for the APCD.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. The petitioner, the City of San Diego Public Utilities Department, operates the Point Loma Wastewater Treatment Plant with equipment located at 1902 Gatchel Road in San Diego, a Title V facility on the sea-facing portion of the Point Loma Peninsula. The Point Loma Wastewater Treatment Plant, as the petitioner, has requested an emergency variance related to one permit, APCD 2009 PTO 950315, with 8 digester tanks, 3.0 to 4.2 million gallons each, and 3 digester gas-fired enclosed flares. The 8 permitted digester tanks are designed with redundant pressure relief valves. 7 of the 8 tanks also have 4 access hatches. Of the 8 permitted digester tanks, only 6 are currently operational. Tank C1 and C2 have been out of service since April 2021 due to dome corrosion and leaks detected, for which a breakdown and self-reported violation was reported to the district. On May 20th, 2021, another breakdown was called in for tanks 7 and 8 pressure relief valves possibly being faulty. Inspector Gretchen May conducted the breakdown inspection the following day on May 21st and discovered all 6 tanks in operation were leaking from both pressure relief valves and or the access hatches. The petitioner has requested a 30-day emergency variance to grant enforcement relief for uncontrolled digester gas emissions related to leaks discovered on all 6 digester tanks. The petitioner is requesting relief from Rule 21, Permit Condition Number 13, which states there shall be no release of uncontrolled emissions of digester gas throughout the plant except for releases described by the manufacturer design specifications and that occurred during construction, repair, and routine preventative maintenance. The preventative maintenance reference table for the City of San Diego Point Loma wastewater treatment plant permit number 950315 as dated January 1, 2012 may also be used as a guideline. I will now give you a short facility compliance history to demonstrate the issues related to previous breakdowns, violations, and variances related to today's emergency variance petition, starting with the most recent violations and going back the past 5 years. The facility currently has 3 open notices of violation for the permit that is subject to today's emergency variance. On April 16th, 2021, a notice of violation was issued for a self-reported violation of uncontrolled emissions of digester gas from the dome of digester tank C1. On April 7th, 2021, a notice of violation was issued for flare 3 operating out of temperature range. On February 26, 2021, a notice of violation was issued for failing to calibrate the flares and maintain proper records. There was also a failure to calibrate each boiler's oxygen gas concentration and flow meters on the odor reduction system. In August 2020, a notice of violation was issued for operating flare 3 out of temperature range for the permit subject to today's petition. There was also a failure of the natural gas meter on a boiler where the boiler operated with a defective meter for 5 months. On November 2019, a notice of violation was issued for uncontrolled emissions of digester gas from tank C1 for the permit subject of today's petition. On July 31st, 2018, a notice of violation was issued for failing to calculate the total therms when the facility did not include natural gas in their calculations. On July 21st, 2017, a notice of violation was issued for permit condition number 13 for allowing uncontrolled release of digester gas due to an open pipe that was left open in error. I've shared the last 5 years of compliance history for notices of violation. Rather than go on further, I'd like to transition to the petitioner's hearing board history, followed by the breakdowns reported. In 2012, the petitioner filed for an emergency variance, followed by a regular variance, due to a breakdown of the computer system, which caused excess digester gas emissions. These variances were granted for the same permit and permit condition, which is subject to today's emergency variance petition. I will now share the facility's recent breakdown history, starting with the current breakdown, which led to the petitioner's emergency variance request we are discussing today. A breakdown submitted to the district via phone call on May 20th, 2021 for digester tanks 7 and 8 with possible faulty pressure relief valves causing a release of uncontrolled digester gas. During the district's breakdown inspection the following day on May 21st, 2021, Inspector May used an Eagle portable gas analyzer to measure methane concentrations. Inspector May discovered substantial leaks in all 6 digester tanks that are currently operational from areas she could safely inspect. Inspector May also discovered leaks at the hatches in addition to the reported pressure relief valves on tank 8. Specifically, tank 1 had leaks from both pressure relief valves and 3 of the 4 access hatches. Tank 2 had leaks from both pressure relief valves and 1 of 4 access hatches. Tank C1 and C2 are currently offline due to corrosion and leaks. Tank S1 had leaks from both pressure relief valves. Tank S2 had a leak from the west pressure relief valve. Tank 7 had leaks from both pressure release valves and does not have any access hatches. Tank 8 had leaks from both pressure relief valves and 4 of 4 access hatches. The Eagle portable gas analyzer's maximum readout for methane is 54,000 ppmv. Several of the 19 leaks, which was discovered by the APCD on May 21st, pegged the analyzer at 54,000 ppmv. Each of the excessive 19 leaks was verified by the Point Loma wastewater treatment facilities site representative, who also had a gas analyzer. Currently, the facility detects leaks by walking the domes and listening for audible leaks and smells of strong odors, but does not routinely use their gas analyzer. The district feels this method of leak detection is not adequate, as evidenced by the increased breakdowns and the district finding 19 leaks in one day. The district has requested the records for preventative maintenance from 2019 to 2021, have not received these yet, but they are due today by 5. The district's position is that the current preventative maintenance is inadequate and not effective. This is a display of massive leaks throughout the facility, but not routinely using their gas detection analyzer on site, and it is now a rush repair after the district identified these leaks. The district has determined that this is not a valid breakdown, as this is a massive leak event, and it is not unforeseeable and a result of improper maintenance and leak detection methods. This is apparent by the number and severity of the leaks detected by the district. In addition, 4 other breakdowns have been reported so far in 2021. 2 are currently open, the one just mentioned, and another breakdown reported May 8th, 2021, because the digester gas compressor caused the cogen engine to fail, causing the dome pressure to build up, and the excess gas was vented to the atmosphere as the flares also failed. On April 15th, 2021, a breakdown was reported for this permit and permit conditions subject of this variance unnecessarily due to excess digester gas emissions caused by loose bolts, which occurred before startup and connection to the main gas line. This was determined not to be a violation. On February 23rd, 2021, also for this permit subject to this petition, a breakdown was reported when a wire was erroneously disconnected and temperature data wasn't collected during operation. In 2020, 2 breakdowns were submitted, both for this permit and condition 13, for releasing excess digester gas. One released due to data failure for the automated system and the other for an engine failure. In 2019, 2 breakdowns were submitted, both for this permit and condition 13. One was due to a crack in tank C1, and one was denied due to negligence. The other breakdown involved a faulty Variance pressure release valve that was specified as being due to chemical and bacterial buildup. In 2017, a breakdown was submitted for a leaking valve discovered by smell. This was denied as the pipe connected to the digester gas system was cut off and left open erroneously. Again, this is the same permit condition and issue of excess digester gas emissions. To sum up the compliance history, there have been 7 violations and more than 10 breakdowns related specifically to this permit and excess digester gas issues since 2017. As mentioned, the district is not granting the current breakdown called in May 2021 and related to today's emergency variance hearing due to improper maintenance and negligence on the facility to adequately conduct inspections to detect and prevent these significant and numerous easily detectable leaks. The facility is relying heavily on audible methods, specifically listening for hissing sounds, and olfactory methods rather than using readily available technology in a preventative manner. Due to the extensive history stated above and the lack of adequate leak detection and maintenance, the district does not see this as unforeseeable event and is required to grant a breakdown and an emergency variance. However, the district understands this is an essential public service and would not prevent the facility from operating. The district only contends that these numerous and extensive leaks are due to a failure of adequate facility oversight. If the petitioner had an effective maintenance protocol in place to use the analyzers at defined connection points at a more detailed level, we feel they should have identified all 19 leaks on all 6 pieces of operational equipment and had initiated corrective actions earlier. Thus, the district's position is to strongly oppose the emergency variance request. The reasons the district strongly opposes is because the petitioner's breakdown was avoidable and could have been identified earlier if they had adequate leak detection inspections. Specifically, the district does not believe the petitioner can demonstrate good cause and satisfy the findings of A, B, and E that the hearing board must consider. I will now go through the findings and provide a brief review for each. For finding A, the requirement is that good cause can be demonstrated to grant the emergency variance. It is the district's position that good cause has not been demonstrated because the petitioner has a history of at least 5 years of excess digester gas issues and could have identified all leaks prior to the district's breakdown inspection on May 21st, 2021. The district is not granting the breakdown request. Again, even if good cause is not found, the allowance to operate or to repair the facility is not affected by this emergency variance being denied. The district acknowledges the importance of the facility operating, but in doing so is in violation of permit condition number 13. Finding B requires that the conditions constituting an emergency are beyond the petitioner's reasonable control. The district feels improper oversight led to these circumstances and that they were preventable and therefore not an emergency. The district considers the last 5 years of collective violations and breakdowns related to this permit to show a pattern of problems associated with the aging infrastructure exacerbated by inadequate preventative maintenance and leak detection methods. This demonstrates neglect, and the issue may be that Point Loma Wastewater Treatment Plant needs to reevaluate the effectiveness of its systems, inspection methods, policies, and procedures ahead of time instead of after violations occur. The 19 digester gas leaks detected by the APCD were a simple finding from one inspector equipped with a leak detection device in a matter of hours. This situation may be the result of poor planning, as 2 tanks are already down for repairs, and points to the fact that the facility is not prepared to prevent significant downtime to replace the parts. The pressure relief valves are not kept as spare parts and require a long lead time to purchase and install. Again, 19 simultaneous leaks do not just happen overnight. Finding E requires the occurrence to constitute a breakdown. As previously mentioned, the district does not intend to grant this breakdown request. Overall, the district does not feel this is an emergency and believes the current leak detection methods are not adequate, as this is an aging system around 60 years old and relies on an insufficient leak detection method based on human senses of hearing or smelling leaks to investigate them further. The Point Loma Wastewater Treatment Plant likely needs to take additional considerations in their ability to properly identify leaks with more thorough inspections, reevaluation of SOPs, and take proactive measures to prevent these types of leaks. Having spare parts on site, or at a minimum, a vendor designated with the part numbers confirmed and available to be a rush order would help advance the timeline to repair. In the past, when there has been a leak, the Point Loma Wastewater Treatment Plant could take a tank offline for repairs. However, they do not have this option as 2 tanks are already currently down. It is the district's position that this does not meet the requirement for any form of variance, emergency, interim, or regular. We urge the board to deny this petition for the reasons presented today. Thank you so much for allowing me to present the district's position. Please let us know if there are any questions.
Well, thank you so very much. That was an excellent presentation, by the way. I mean, that very concise, and that definitely provides a picture of what we are considering in today. If you allow me, I would love to ask Gretchen a couple of questions. So Gretchen, are you with us? You may want to unmute yourself.
Yes, here I am. Hi.
Thank you. Hi, how are you doing? Well, that definitely, since you have been assigned as the inspector for this site, I would like to hear from you as to, particularly as you go, well, how long have you been assigned, to inspect, Point Loma Wastewater District, PO2W?
Ooh, 3 years is my best guess.
Okay. And during those 3 years, definitely based on the history of NOVs, it seems as though that there is a pattern. Can you explain to me what do you think the pattern persists?
I think the tanks, the infrastructure of the tanks is simply failing over time due to the age and the location down by the ocean. That would be my answer to your question.
You went definitely with a gas meter. I mean, can you tell me what brand and model, I mean, just a brand that is, please?
It's an Eagle 2.
Okay. I mean, do you know the LEL, the lower explosive limit, for methane?
I do not.
I think it's about, 5%, by volume, which would be equivalent to 54,000 or 50,000 parts per million volume.
Oh, that explains the top number.
Okay, so I'm a bit concerned about this. Again, I mean, don't hold me, that tight on that one, but I am pretty sure that is there, okay?
Okay.
So when did you start smelling this as, the methane, as you actually granted, that the odor threshold for methane is, the thousands parts lower than this. But when you parked your car, when you entered the facility, when you got very close to the thing, or was it a persistent smell? Granted, I know that there is dispersion, a lot of dispersion because of the location.
Yes, I have always found that the area itself, which includes the tide pools right adjacent to it, is always kind of smelly. There is a certain odor with the area as you approach Point Loma wastewater treatment plant through the tide pools, through that road. The facility itself always has an odor to it. On Friday in particular, going up to the tanks, there were instances where we had just climbed a tank, and I kind of looked at the representative and I said, I feel like there's going to be a leak. There's going to be a leak. I can smell it. It was definitely a stronger odor on the top of the tank, and it usually corresponded with additional leaks that we detected.
And I'm actually going to ask your last question. It has to do with management of change. When you go into the site, do you have the very same person attending you? For example, is that the same contact? I'm just trying to see, on a management of change, if this is truly a facilities issue with a change of command or something along those lines.
As long as I have been at Point Loma, I have had the same two wastewater operations supervisors, and I'm probably getting their titles wrong, but the same two, and then the same facility manager. What has changed is the individual in charge of, I believe it's their maintenance department.
Okay. And I ask these questions, from the standpoint of continuity of business, because as you know, particularly with COVID, and by the way, don't get me COVID, the system here, because even though we have all been away from, that social environment, a lot of us have been working continuously. So, I'm not taking that lightly, okay? So don't even present COVID as an issue, here, because it isn't. Just my personal view. So I just wanted to see, some continuity of business here. So where did we go wrong? Why, is the maintenance, to be apparent that is not been happening. So that's my concern. And I said that was the last question and last comment. I lied. So when you showed up, with the gas meter, to the site, the Eagle 2, which by the way is really very good, it's nicely portable and very efficient. When you calibrate it, did you calibrate it that day?
I did not. I do have the calibration record for it. I believe it was May 12th, but I can double check that.
Okay.
I can verify. I saw the document. It was May 12th calibration.
Okay. You forget that I'm also an industrial hygienist, so I need to calibrate my equipment. And have you ever, Gretchen, have you ever seen anybody, I mean, on the site using a gas meter? I mean, did anybody actually said, oh, hold it here, that may be your gas meter, but let me actually take a look at my gas meter and see if somewhat statistically, it compares?
Regarding Friday or in the past?
Anytime.
So in the past, when I have been out to the digester tanks, they have, I believe they call it a gas tech. It's a smaller handheld device that they have used, and they did have it on Friday with me verifying the leaks.
Well, gas techs, like with any other meters, I mean, the ones that, customarily folks in maintenance actually use, is not calibrated per se, does not allow for that. I mean, depending on the sensitivity, but that's a question definitely, for petitioner. I mean, no, thank you so very much, I mean, for bringing this and doing, the work that you actually do. Yeah, I mean, so I'm going to go back to petitioner. Okay, I mean, the burden of proof, sirs, it's with you. Okay, so I think that certainly the district provided a very compelling case here. I'm trying to find a piece of paper on my desk to write notes. Okay, on that one. So, and I cannot, I mean, yes, perfect. Okay, on that one. So you heard, I mean, petitioner's case and presentation, and as I believe, I mean, it was very complete, with a lot of evidentiary subjects or items that kind of builds a history of maybe relaxed compliance or relaxed maintenance that definitely, I mean, impacts compliance. So I would like, for you to definitely address the issues right now. With a short and succinct presentation, I mean, and then we'll follow up, with some questions, okay?
Sure. I'll just kick it off. I'm not an operator, so the operators will chime in here at some point. That was a very good historical list that Julie gave for this Title V facility. We are a Title V facility.
Oh, I know.
We do all of our self-reporting, and when we have an issue, we make it known, and we handle those issues. Just a couple of things I have for the district real quick. She used the term massive and substantial, but I don't know that I have a definition of what that would be in kind of cubic feet. So that would be, there's almost, I think, 3 million cubic feet of gas that we produce and we dispose of daily at this facility. So that's one thing I just wanted to bring up. Based upon her reiteration of our history, our compliance history. The other one is I wanted to make sure that Gretchen, used a very close proximity meter. She was within an inch of these leak detections. So, as a safety issue, I've been here for 30 years and I've always felt safe at Point Loma. And I don't, I just want to make that clear that these are very close proximity readings from gaskets and I think leaks of these Varic valves that have a continuous but very small. We admit, these are leaking more than the designed, but they are supposed to leak to a certain degree so that we don't have some kind of a catastrophe. These are what would be like on the top of a pressure boiler, so that your pressure boiler in your kitchen wouldn't just, blow up. So,
I get it. I mean, but my concern is, sir, I mean, if Gretchen needs to get that close to, I mean, a gas escape, okay, call it leak, a gas escape, for me right now it says escape, because definitely, I mean, it's above, the conditions that you actually have to abide by on your permit.
Right.
Then my concern is, okay, despite, I mean, definitely the dilution, of air, just because of the location of the facility, if there is an ignition source nearby, I mean, so Gretchen could have been, or anybody there doing their job, then they could have actually been potentially injured.
And the operations staff have, they would never use welding. They would always bring a digester down before they weld.
I mean,
with any proximity.
I
I'm
know,
just saying,
but
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things, you know.
Yeah,
So
but it was a very close proximity detection. And I don't know that they probably, a better study, I'm a chemist and scientist,
yeah, I
might
do.
have
I get
been
it.
to take readings as you know, readings right at the site, and then maybe a foot later, and we could have determined where the real risk of explosion would
But
be.
we're not doing a risk assessment here, nor
Yeah.
are we doing a study.
But
We are actually
we did-
determining if it's within compliance or out of compliance. Because
Right.
I hear you out. I mean, because I mean that's what I said. I'm a chemist too. I mean, so I mean, is it with, you know, I mean, compliance, the permit conditions or not, you know? But let's actually go back, you know, to, you know, your presentation, because I definitely, rather than to go, you know, massive and substantial, which, you know, definitely is something that I would actually like to hear as well. I mean, that's so because we actually go, you know, from the subjective. Okay, I mean to more objective, I mean, definition of it. Okay, so I mean that because you and I are number people,
Right.
but I mean it's just not numbers. No, I mean, and that is kind of, you know, with the districts and the variance request. That's where I guess, you know, the science meets the art on this element. But let's go back to why so many? Why do you believe, you know, that the result of these leaks are not directly attributed, I mean, to disregard, I mean, for maintenance or for or a result of negligence, which I think, you know, is at the core of what the district actually is saying.
Right, and that's where I'd have to kick it back to operations, you know, because we're reporting this. We found out about it. We want to be upfront and try to, and we are right now repairing these as we speak,
Right.
because, you know, we
And you
know
have
they
to.
need to be repaired. And
Yeah, you have to regardless.
so,
But
but I'll let operations speak on that.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. Whether you get the variance or not, you still need to repair
Yeah.
it regardless. Okay. Good.
Yeah, thank you, Brett. Chair Rodriguez, I'll go ahead and speak. Hi. So again, my name's Dave Marlowe. I'm the superintendent of the facility. And I've been in this position about 4 years. In those 4 years, we've definitely strived to, you know, meet regulatory compliance on all matters, but we've struggled also as well. And let me just say, I appreciate the APCD's detailed and very candid assessment of our compliance history and current situation. It's our situation obviously is not ideal, but what I'd like to address is the negligent aspect of,
Yes.
of what was brought up. So I don't think we can dispute, you know, the general sense of negligence, but I want to make it clear that any negligence on our part is definitely not intentional. And so I want to make that clear. We've done our due diligence in trying to self-report and try to correct issues that we find when we find them. And we're working within, you know, a lot of challenges right now. Let me just put it that way. So basically going back to some of the more recent violations that were brought up in our maintenance history, let me just say that we did pull up some of our maintenance records going back for at least the last few years to this regarding the digesters, and we did find a number of corrective work orders that were created and corrective work that was done when leaks were detected by our staff. And we did do our best to report those and correct those on the spot when we found those. We were unable to find, you know, some records of certain preventative maintenance items, and you know, we could go into detail about that, but basically, we tried to do our best of not only maintaining in compliance status, but also to self-report when we're out of compliance.
I have a question for you.
That's,
I mean, that has to do with, are there any of these tanks and the appurtenances, I mean, with regards to that, do you have it connected to a BMS? Is there a SCADA, I mean, over there? Is there anything, you know, that can remotely monitor and let you know, I mean, real time of any leaks or potential, you know, I mean, the the status, I mean, of the flows and things of that nature. How do you actually have that, and why, and how do you have it set up?
Right, thank you. Yeah,
I mean,
so,
because, yeah.
so like the APCD staff was detailing, we don't typically go around on our daily rounds with a atmospheric gas detector every round and measure the points that Gretchen had detected on a daily basis. We do have fixed stationary gas detectors in the digester areas situated at different points on the digesters. We did verify after this last event on May 21st, we did verify with our maintenance staff that all of those fixed stationary gas detectors are functioning and that they are working. So I think part of the point that I believe Brent was trying to make was that, you know, that those detectors would detect a gas leak of sizable proportions that would create an unsafe environment for personnel. And we haven't had any of those gas detectors alarmed. And so in recent history that I can remember. And so, you know, that's why we typically don't monitor every round that we do with our operations staff with gas detectors on every round. Now, I do want to clarify that anytime work is done in the digester area, whether it's maintenance or you know, in some cases, recently we went into C1, C2 digester after the cleaning to do an inspection. I do want to make clear that we do monitor, we bring gas detectors up when work is being conducted in the area, and we do monitor for gas continuously. Anytime we're doing any kind of confined space entry, and we do set up, you know, anytime specific projects or jobs are being done, we do set up extra safety signage, and we ensure that we use non-sparking brass tools to conduct that maintenance.
Yeah, I mean, but that's a scheduled work. Okay, then I actually have a question.
Yes.
If you definitely have these monitors, how do you have it set up? You know, I mean, if the APCD levels are, you know, specific, in, I mean, according to your permit, is it above a certain, I mean, degree? Is it like a 25% above? Is it 25% below? How can you identify an emergent, not an emergency, an emergent condition that we actually trigger you to an emergency?
Right. So for each gas detector, fixed stationary gas sensor, we have a high alarm and a high alarm. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head what those alarm at, but again, we have not had any of those detectors alarm, at least not in recent history.
Yeah, so see that I'm sorry to say, you know, but for me that would actually go back, you know, to massive as substantial, you know, I mean, because the high alarm and the high alarm, you know, doesn't provide me any reference point. I mean, because it doesn't, you know, so I need to actually gauge that against, you know, the permit conditions, I think, you know, I mean, if that is what is being monitored, because I do not understand, I do not know whether or not that is monitored. I mean, okay, so that's one. I mean, that's so that is maybe why then the district, according, I mean, to the position statement, you know, indicated that the POTW then depends on audible and / olfactory methods, you know, for detecting a leak. Would that be equivalent to that or no? That high and the high. So you go by smell and audible?
So I think the reference to the smell and audible, you know, is a reference to when we do rounds as an operator, you know, you're using all your senses. You're using your eyes, your nose, your ears, and so, you know, typically, you know, we look for anything out of the ordinary, a condition in the digester that would be out of the ordinary, like I believe was mentioned before would be an excessive smell of sulfides in the area, or you hear a sound that you normally typically don't hear, like gas hissing or escaping from somewhere. But as far as the detection equipment goes, you know, we rely on the fixed stationary equipment, the gas detectors that we have, to alert us to any gas leaks in the area that are of concern.
Okay. You know, I mean, trust me, I know how difficult it is. I mean, on your end of the side, I mean, of the end of work, you know, but at the same time, it's kind of difficult. I mean, because I am not giving kind of a comparison, and I'm trying to open, you know, I mean, what you have, you know, the preventative maintenance reference table. I mean, that Marvis, if we could actually adopt this as exhibit number 2. It says no flow rates, you know, I mean, it says total units in the facility. You actually have all the valves, I mean, and they vent continuously, and they actually here. And it says, note that the values are estimates and a worst case concentration of 40 part per million by volume of hydrogen sulfide, which, to be honest with you, by 10 ppm, I mean, Coupa and the fire department would be there, because that if it was in a confined area, that would be an IDLH condition. However, you know, I mean, the way that you are set up, you know, I mean, definitely helps, you know, I mean, considerably. But I mean, that's why I do not understand this exhibit 2. So why did you provide this reference table? Yes, thank you, Marvis. What is this? What is the purpose of us looking at this one?
I think this is tied to the permit condition, our permit condition 13. This is the reference that is to the permit condition that we can have a continuous rate of 0.1 feet. All of these are acceptable events that would not bring us out of compliance for condition 13, I guess, if we stayed within these. And obviously, we're admitting that, number one, the Varick pressure relief valves are above that continuous rate that is in this table, and that's why we're seeking the variance.
Okay, and there's no way for you to prevent this. There was no way for you to anticipate it. You are indicating that to your best of your expertise, knowledge, and ability, this was beyond your reasonable control. That's
a question I can't answer. We'll have to bring that back to the operations staff.
Okay. So who would be the operations staff to answer this question?
Can you just rephrase that one more time so I understand?
I'm sorry, I couldn't catch that.
Can you repeat the question one more time, please?
I mean, based on the, you know, I mean, the data that is provided here, I mean, and the continuous rate, I mean, for emissions, particularly for item number 1, row 1, that indicates now that you are allowed, according to permit conditions, I mean, to have a continuous rate of leak, I guess, where vents are continuous of 0.1, you know, cubic feet, you know, per hour per unit. So there was no way that you could anticipate, I mean, that if you are above that, there was no way for you to anticipate, you know, I mean, that these units actually needed, you know, I mean, immediate maintenance and repair.
No, I can't say that there's no way that could happen. No.
Okay, no, so final question. I mean, why did we get here? It's a simple one, you know. Why did we get here? I mean, because it's not one. I mean, that, trust me, I have issued plenty of emergency variances. I think the majority of them, you know, I hear them. I mean, but this seems to be a systemic issue, and that is the issue that I see in front of me. This is a systemic issue whereby, yes, I mean, 2 units were called in. It seems as though that it met, you know, I mean, the requirements for notification, but I mean, upon verification by the APCD inspector, it seems as though that is really a systemic issue.
Well, we just know that the event occurred because of the breakdown. That's really what brought our attention to this at this point. Okay. So, you know, well, I think people can speculate as to what's happened in the past. You know, that's why we're here, is we wanted to deal with what we found at this point and address it and do it as quickly as possible. And, you know, we did we were in communication with the district. They did change their stance on this at some point, but we understand that. But we were just following what we thought was a good course of action.
Who is the person who's speaking to me right now? I cannot see it, according to my view.
Oh, am I out of the? I'm sharing the screen with Sal, and we're trying to
perfect.
social
Okay.
distance as much as possible.
I get it.
I apologize for that.
Okay.
So that's why we were here. We were just following. We knew we couldn't. We'd had a breakdown. We knew we couldn't fix it. The emergency variance you got to move quickly on, and we were collecting information on this, yesterday afternoon while we were paying for the variance. So, and we wanted to be forthright and forthcoming and try to follow a good course of action. So
and compliant. Yeah. That's so. Yeah, that's kind of an issue. Why when was there a plan of action? When the no, I guess not. No, because there was no check. You were maybe concentrated on those units, not that were down. But I definitely. What would happen if an emergency variance is not granted?
We're still going to repair them, and we're going to repair them as quickly as we can. I think if Dave wants to speak to that, I think there's cranes on site right now doing some.
So Chair Rodriguez, again, I'll go back to, none of this is intentional. We're doing our best to try to get back into compliance. As Brent stated, we're seeking the emergency variance so that we have a little bit of relief to be able to do that. Either way, we're going to continue to try to move forward with repairs and everything we need to do to get back into compliance. We've already repaired, or I'm sorry, let me restate that. We've already replaced 4 of the leaking barracks that were found. And so we've taken care of 4 of the leaks that were detected by the APCD. And we're going to continue correcting all the other leaks as quickly as we can. We believe that we'll be able to do that within the 30-day period if granted the emergency variance, because we've taken the steps to verify that our isolation valves on all but one of the barracks works, so we can isolate that equipment and either rehabilitate or replace the units. And moving forward, we can address our monitoring activities as well, to try to step that up. This is obviously going to be a little bit of a learning process and an eye-opener for all of us here at the facility as well. But as I stated, we're doing our best working with what we have, and we're going to continue to do that. We're just seeking the 30-day variance, so we have a little bit of relief to do that.
And now we're going to close the very same way that we started with Ms. Byford. What would happen? To the petitioner if a variance would not be granted?
Sorry, I was finding my unmute. We would issue a notice of violation with the expectation that they are continuing to complete their repairs. And I'm not sure this was addressed, and this is a question for me. In the repairs, I heard the pressure relief valves, but is there repairs to the hatches? Because I believe that considered a little, that has a little bit more lead time of having to drain the tank and do extra maintenance. Or I know there was a mention of weighting them differently to prevent. So that would be my other question back to the petitioner. I did hear repairs of the pressure relief valves, but I didn't hear repairs of the hatches.
Yeah, Danny, I'll let you go ahead and answer that. If you were you spent more time up on top of the digester.
Yes, this is Daniel Moreno. I was on top of the digester with the maintenance coordinator this morning, and he said he does have all the gaskets for all the access hatches. So we do have that on site, and we can start making those repairs to the ones that we can right now.
Any other questions or comments?
I don't. Do any of my other district staff have anything that I didn't address?
I just want to iterate again that, yeah, what the action we would take is issuing a violation, and that there's understanding that this facility needs to continue to operate. And, you know, this variance request to deny the variance is not related to the operations or the repair. It just comes down to, should there be relief from the violation?
From the violation, exactly.
And that's our take, is that there should not be, based on Rule 98 and it not being unforeseeable, and our take of lack of maintenance.
Any nuisance? I would imagine no. Any nuisance? Anybody not complaining? I mean, from odors from this facility?
The location of this facility, I think, is offset from residences, so there have been no complaints.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Well, you know, I mean, provided there are no comments, I mean, definitely let's close the hearing. And folks, I actually have to say that this is a very tough decision. Even though, you know, I mean, that I cannot say, you know, that it could be negligence, you know, I mean, definitely I believe that there is disregard, I mean, that with regards to the maintenance of the equipment. And so again, I believe no, that was improper maintenance. Not all pressure relief valves actually failed at the same time. Gaskets, you know, that's something that needs to, you know, you guys don't need to be on top of. I certainly do not also believe, you know, that all the gaskets not fail at the same time, and maybe the inspection checklist that you actually have need to be strengthened considerably. I mean, that to go beyond the testing, you know, but also to incorporate, I mean, the age of the equipment, the conditions, environmental conditions, and the depth, you know, with which you do overhaul of the equipment. I mean, and and I have it here as well, you know, I mean, so unfortunately, I do not find good cause, you know, I mean, to grant this variance. Okay, I mean, so the petitioner has not, I mean, provided, you know, the elements, I mean, here to indicate, you know, that this was, I mean, just one issue or even two, I mean, based on the size of the facility, I mean, and the volume of, you know, waste water that, you know, I mean, it's been treated. But it seems as though, you know, that there is a systemic issue, I mean, going, you know, here, and that actually requires very careful monitoring and strengthening, I mean, of the not only the maintenance and the equipment, I mean, inspections, but definitely, you know, the reset or the review, I mean, of the automatic monitoring equipment, I mean, and the notification. So for these reasons, I do not find good cause, I mean, and this petition is denied. Any comments or questions? Okay, don't leave me hanging now.
No. Thank you for your time.
Thank you
No
for
comments. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. You know, so take care.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Chair. We'll see you on Thursday.
Absolutely.